To the ones that eat no for breakfast, speak their truth, and always show up excellent. Preface. January 21st, 2021 was a bitterly cold night, even under the glare of the studio lights. Kamala Devi Harris, clad in a black dress, tuxedo overcoat, and leather gloves, stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. She took a deep breath, pressed her shoulders back, and put her chin up. With a smile, she delivered her first words to the world as the 49th Vice President of the United States. We are undaunted in our belief that we shall overcome, that we will rise up. This is American aspiration. In the middle of the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln saw a better future and built it with land-grant colleges and the Transcontinental Railroad. In the middle of the Civil Rights Movement, Dr. King fought for racial justice and economic justice. American aspiration is what drove the women of this nation throughout history to demand equal rights, and the authors of the Bill of Rights to claim freedoms that had rarely been written down before. A great experiment takes great determination, the will to do the work, and then the wisdom to keep refining, keep tinkering, keep perfecting. The same determination is being realized in America today. That same determination, will, wisdom, and aspiration had been realized earlier that day as Kamala Harris was sworn in as the country's first woman vice president and also the first Black and South Asian vice president. In the months that Kamala Harris went from being the junior senator from California to vice president of the United States, I asked hundreds of women what she meant to them, and the answers were incredibly varied. Hope, representation, strength, and courage were some of the most common answers, as was shattering the glass ceiling. Others commented on how she's evolved on issues publicly and openly. For Black women, who have been the backbone of our democracy, they felt ownership, especially in the we when she called President-elect Biden and said, "We did it, Joe." For South Asians, it was a feeling of a deeper belonging to America as she recognized her chittis in her acceptance speech. For blended and multicultural families, it was a shattering of stereotypes that had been the norm in media and culture. And for children, it showed that anyone could be elected to one of the most formidable and prestigious positions in the world. Girls saw themselves as powerful, and boys saw that power belonged to women as much as men. As for me, I felt a lot of feelings. As a longtime fan of Kamala Harris, I felt elated as I watched the inauguration ceremony. I felt pride as a woman, as a South Asian, and as an American. I felt hope, which I hadn't felt much of in the past 5 years. I felt a sense of relief that our vice president's purpose in life was, and is, to make our country better for everyone. Most of all, I felt seen. I felt seen by Kamala, a woman who leads with ambition and is devoted to her family in equal measure. I felt seen because of all of these things I've listed, and many more. I first heard of Kamala Harris when she was Attorney General of California. I was working for Cytos, an early-stage pharmaceutical company. I had just stepped into a business development role that had me at the negotiating table quite a bit. The job also had me traveling constantly, which became the basis for my blog, Hitha on the Go. I kept CNN on in the background whenever I was unpacking, repacking, and getting ready in the many hotel rooms I lived in. On a random February day in a random hotel in 2012, one story captured my attention as I caught up on emails. California had secured an $18 billion settlement for relief from the subprime mortgage crisis, which was negotiated by the state's attorney general. I remember my hands freezing on my keyboard, my full attention on the television screen. The report mentioned Kamala Harris's rejection of the lender's initial offer as one of her first acts as Attorney General, and the months of negotiations that led to this announcement. Harris appeared on the screen in her trademark pantsuit and pearls. "Well, I'll tell you, there's a simple principle in law, and, in particular, contract law, which is the deal ain't done just based on a promise. It's based on a promise and acceptance and then performance.